Hey everybody, how you doing? This is about to be a really fun video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to put a carburetor on your lawnmower. This one right here, this is a Husky LT 4200, what they call it. It's pretty much the cheapest one they sell at Tractor Supply. I've had this baby for 10 years. Started giving me troubles about 2 years ago. When it'd warm up and get hot, it would shut off. Past 2 years, I've just been dealing with it. Park that thing and then go back to finishing mowing once it cools down. But my first thought was hopefully it's ignition coil. That's a cheap part. It's 15 bucks. I did a video on how to swap that out, but that didn't fix it. When it warms up, it still quits. Now what we're doing today is swapping the carburetor. Online, you can get these carburetors for 30 bucks. I'll have a link down below where you can go find it, but super simple. For $30, you might as well replace that carburetor every couple of years as preventative maintenance. I don't know. But hey, let me show you what I ordered and what all came in the box for this $30 carburetor repair. But there are tons of these mowers that use the same carburetor. You can swap them out. So even if yours is not a Husky like this, if it's something close, same carb might work. But check it out. Let me show you what came in the carb kit box. So here's everything that came in the kit for 30 bucks. Got the carburetor itself, a new air filter, a new inline fuel filter. This is the style that came on that mower. So fuel line, we'll see if we need that. I'll probably swap it out anyways. A brand new spark plug, and then a little gasket set. So we're going to swap the carburetor out. It shouldn't take us too long, just with some hand tools. I think the part that's going to annoy me the most is the connections on the carb, but not a whole lot to it. Let me show you how to get to it. We'll get right to it. So these type of little lawn tractors are all pretty much the same, but first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to get at the motor. So pull off the little air box here, pull off all these plastics, and then I'll be right back. Pretty simple. All right, now, so check this out. I got that big piece of plastic off, right? And the air filter off. Air filter sits right on there. There's the air intake. So there is our carburetor that we're replacing right there. So you're gonna want to do this all at the same time. If you're like me, if I take something apart and try to put it back together the next day, I forget where half of it went. So try to sit down and do this all at once. There's not that much to it. But right here, I've already replaced a brand new ignition coil. I was hoping that was going to be the culprit from the start, but that was not it. But it's a $15 part. If you're replacing the carburetor, you might as well get that ignition coil part. It's $15 and replace it at the same time. So $45, and it's going to make this baby brand new. But you can see here, we got to get this carb off. And this little air intake tube is held on by these bolts right here. And we're going to be real careful. Get this baby off. And take real good note of all these connections. I'm actually going to take a picture of it so I don't forget. And then we'll just, I'm going to start by sneaking these two off here. And then I'll check back in with you. I'm going to go ahead and make the note here. It's always a good idea to hold up your parts side by side there, just to check in and make sure that you didn't order something squirrely before you take it all apart. But if you sit here and look at it, everything matches up, looks exactly the same. So we should be good to go. I'm gonna start taking this old one off here. All right, so I just took those two nuts off. This right here is a little air tube. Disconnect that. Then you're going to want to pull this off. There's another little vent tube here on that. I'm just going to leave this hanging because we're going to not need to disconnect that top one. Now, here's the carburetor. So, right here is the gas coming from your gas tank, right? Here's that inline filter. We're going to go ahead and put the new one on there here after a bit. And here's that line. We might as well replace that if it's the right length. But here's the carburetor. So you can see here, those two nuts was all that was holding it on there. So there's two linkages here on top. which match up, and then there's a plug here, and then there's a ground there. So just to point out, before you go all gung-ho, just take a look at everything. A ground here, a plug here, and 2 connections, and that's really all there is to it. So I'm going to pinch off this gas line and set it off to the side, get all this connected, put the gaskets on there, and put it back together. Looks like we might need to, oh no, that just broke loose from that plastic. So there's going to be a gasket on this side. If these gaskets are good, nah, you know what? It had problems. We're going to put in new gaskets. It's not running right, so there's something screwy. So I'm going to put a new gasket on that side, new gasket on this side, and we're going to slap it all back together in reverse order. But I'm going to need to just slip these connections out here on top, and then I'll slap the new one on there. Be right back. Alright, now we got that old carburetor off. I got just a screw in that gas line, keeping the gas from pouring everywhere. If you don't have much gas in there, you could just soon drain the rest of it and not fool with it. That'd make it easier to change out that filter and stuff. But now it's just a matter of putting it all back together in reverse, hooking everything that we unhooked, putting those new gaskets on, and slapping it back together. A lot easier than you might think with just some simple tools. Anybody can do this. Alright guys, there we go. There's the new carb on there. Slipped it on those 2 posts just like we took it off. Dropped in those linkages for the choke and the throttle. Easy peasy. Hooked up this tube. I did go ahead and use that new fuel filter and last bit of fuel line that fit just fine. Here's where your gas line connects to the carburetor. Make sure to put a clip on there just in case. Same thing on the ends of the fuel filter. Those are cheap, and if you don't break the ones that are on there, just use the old ones. But new fuel filter, new line, connected everything back up. Now all that's left is I'm going to go ahead and use that new air filter, why not, and slap that new spark plug in that came with it, and we will be ready to go. But make sure that you got good gaskets on this side, and then on this side, and then on this side. You definitely want those sealed up good, because those not being sealed good could have been your problems from the start. But I didn't torque these to some kind of specific torque. I know some of y'all get real stickler about that, but I gave it about 13 oogie boogies. You definitely want it on there tight, but you don't want to mess up those gaskets, and you don't want to strip these. So just get them on there good and tight. Put this all back on, and we'll be ready to go. But there's slapping a carburetor on your lawnmower. You might be surprised at how easy it is. No special tools required. Cost us $30 and about 15 minutes.